When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
You know that feeling when someone shows up for you just when you need it most? That's what Uber is all about. Not just a ride or dinner at your door. It's how Uber helps you show up for the moments that matter. Because showing up can turn a tough day around or make a good one even better. Whatever it is, big or small, Uber is on the way. So you can be on yours. Uber, on our way.
Hello, it's Gareth here. Welcome along to Somewhere on Earth. And this show is published on Tuesday, the 10th of June. And joining me today is Ghislaine Boddington. Greetings, Ghislaine. How are you? Okay.
I'm good, Gareth. Yeah, very good. And it's lovely to be here with you and for this special show, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just interested, do you actually have a digital twin? I know you've researched a lot on this. You've broadcasted on digital twins, but they'll be coming up in conversation today. Is there a digital Ghislaine out there?
Well, it kind of is, because I did do a 4D scan for the BBC show, for Big Show, which was me dancing in a basement in Antwerp as part of his medical lab, actually, and that made a proper 4D scan of me dancing. But I don't yet, and none of us have the speculative, investigative research that I'm really getting into about digital human twins, which are, with us throughout life from birth and are learning with us and assisting us and enabling us and co-creating with us. So that's not quite there yet. What I'm fascinatingly looking at is about 100 different types of digital twins that are out there already, but they've all got to amalgamate to make that special one.
Yeah, all right. That to make, yes. And I'm trying to think, a digital twin amalgam or something, if that's even a term, yes. But that's fascinating. Ghislaine, thank you very much. And also coming up today, it's a busy one this edition. Ada Lovelace and Leonardo da Vinci are standing by to give keynote addresses. What is all that about? We will tell you. Also today, a retailer brings in digital twins. There we are, digital twins. Told you that had come up. They're bringing in digital twins of real human models. So who's getting the best, or indeed the worst, deal here? And we may just about explain the offside rule in football, but don't count on it in my case because I'm not a great expert. But we are talking about semi-automated decision-making in the Premier League and why the fans don't really seem very happy about it. It's all right here on the Somewhere on Earth podcast. Right then, so we're going to be talking about what is being billed really as a tipping point for new educational resources on the web. Now, I hinted there at the beginning about Ada Lovelace and Leonardo da Vinci. They're kind of being embodied, they are appearing as avatars, it's all to do with education, there's a kind of summit going on around it. That sets things up very nicely to talk to author, academic and entrepreneur Dinis Guarda. Now, he's also the creator of Wisdomia, which is a platform where users can interact with the greatest minds in history, like Ada, like Leonardo and so on. Welcome along to the podcast, Dinis.
It's an honor to be here and to be talking with you guys.
Lovely. Right, so you've created what you call like a 3D edutainment marketplace. This is Wisdomia. So what is it?
So Wisdomia, like the name mentioned, is wisdom and utopia combined. And it's wisdomia.ai. the reason we created this and with this name is I like ideas and I like technology, and we decided to combine a platform that could assemble all these different things. And what I found out is in my trajectory as an entrepreneur and an academic, there's a huge divide between all the tools that we're using and that we do every day and the reality and as well the velocities. So Wisdomia was created as a platform that can empower us. So 4.5 billion people play games every day. Right. But if I ask how much of these people are making money out of the games or making a lifestyle or a creative economy, there's almost no one. So what we're trying to do is empowering people through a platform that can use the most advanced technologies, but making them super simple to learn and to entertainment.
Right. So, I mean, that's the bigger picture. I get it. So, but people might still be wondering, yes, but I want to know if I'm using the platform, what am I experiencing? What am I seeing? You know, for instance, do you get like a historical figure of Ada Lovelace turning up right in front of you on your screen that you can interact with and learn that way? Is it that kind of experience?
Yes, so you mentioned Leonardo da Vinci and Ada Lovelace. So in the case of Leonardo da Vinci, you actually can interact with him. We create an AI digital twin chatbot with an LLM, and you can actually talk with him about anything you want in 120 languages. And it's kind of crazy. We've been actually advancing the large language model around him. It is the personality of Leonardo da Vinci, and we're scaling it to become much more in the sense of having memory, interacting with you. So like a ChatGPT with a face, but it has a personality, and it's the personality of Leonardo da Vinci. So he actually knows about everything about his life. And there's things we've been discussing about ethics, and it is a digital twin. Actually, we added a scientific study to make him look how we would be looking Leonardo da Vinci if he would be alive. And with Lady Lovelace is exactly the same. We have already, so like the platform mentioned in Wisdomia, you have already 100 personalities of history. We can only interact with Leonardo da Vinci for now, but you can actually press and listen to the voice. We create a voice for Ada Lovelace and the look and feeling of her. And we have already an AI LLM for you to start being able to communicate with her like you're talking here with us.
Yeah, and it's not just the people, but the places as well, isn't it? For instance, I was on the platform looking at, say the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus, and you have like a 3D rendering of this temple, don't you? And various resources to help me learn more about it as if I'm there.
Is exactly the point. So we start with putting personalities, the wonders of the world, the wonders of nature, the wonders of engineering. So that's a component of education. So imagine National Geographic meets Wikipedia, meets Encyclopedia, meets gaming and entertainment. So it's something that doesn't exist, but I think is going to be the future of humanity. I think the challenge is how we put all of this assembly, and I think you guys are experts in digital twins, making how we empower ourselves with these tools and with these fantastic experiences.
Right. And if you mentioned Wikipedia there, because I was going to slightly playfully and mischievously ask you, have you basically built a Wikipedia with 3D renderings on top of it? There's a bit more going on.
I'm a huge fan of Wikipedia.
Nothing wrong with Wikipedia.
Nothing wrong, and I think it's super important. No, I think the major difference is Wikipedia was created as a scientific repository initially, and then it became an extra part on that. We are creating this from the angle of education and from the angle of edutainment, entertainment. So I think it's really important that this interactivity and the empowerment, whereas Wikipedia is purely content based on education or encyclopedia content. Here is for now, the first layer is that it starts with you can just engage. The second layer is that you're going to be able to create things with the platform. For instance, at the moment on Leonardo, you can only talk with him and listen, but going forward, you can ask him, okay, do a drawing with me instead with this. So we are right now integrating much more layers of technology. It's going to be quite crazy, but I think I want to make sure that the children and young people and old people can actually use these platforms to empower themselves. So this is a component of empowerment is our biggest differentiator.
Right. Okay. That's a word that's coming up a lot, isn't it? Ghislaine Boddington, let's bring you in here then. Empowerment is one of the big watchwords here. And you've spent most of your research career looking at this very thing, isn't it? Digital twins and body tech and all that kind of stuff. What do you make of this whole idea of Wisdomia?
I think it's amazing to have these 100 plus I call them heritage digital twins in a way, who you can go and read about them because you get their animation, you can see them, they're done beautifully in the surroundings which have been properly researched, and then underneath that you could get loads of information about them and other links, yeah. And I've really enjoyed working with the Leonardo da Vinci one, which actually is already in its more interactive form. I was going to ask you, Dinis, just very simply, what are the layers of technology that you've got happening within this browser-based educational platform?
So it's actually came out of an engineer meeting, and we have effectively around more than 10 layers of technology, because we have so like you mentioned, Gareth, we have a component of browser experience, which is unique because most of the games you have to download the specific software and play it in your computer or in your phone. So we actually created a platform that has an interactivity of Web 2, Web 3. I'm not going too technical, but in the end, then you can work it in a browser. You can order, and some of the things, of course, the browser is more advanced than in the phone. But the major technologies that we're integrating are artificial intelligence, the digital twin technology, which you call it human AI. And this human AI is in the sense that I can create an entire digital twin of you, Garrett, or you, Ghislaine. And the first stage is that you can use it to reproduce your physics, but then we can integrate your own personality and your own, for instance, if you're a writer, if you are, in your case, Ghislaine, is quite easy. Actually, I want to do that with you, is that you actually can have your personality as well. And of course, there's a huge amount of technology, especially from the digital part of the physical part, and then from the AI large language model that we should transform and assimilate to make this more interactive. And then there's a part of emotional intelligence and research, because, for instance, we did this with Einstein, and Einstein became extremely violent and arrogant. Just the LLM. So we had to change the entire personality, we had to adapt, and we are integrating a huge component of emotional intelligence.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Equals MC squared. If you don't like it, I'll lamp you. And you're that Einstein. Rein it back. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because I know what you fed each of these twins is they're all everything they've written, everything they knew when they were alive. But you also explained to me that you've given them also access to beyond their death, what's been said about them, what's been written about them, all the different across many hundreds of years for some of them, and I did just quickly, I wanted to say, I went to Leonardo this morning and I asked him, what are your thoughts on the use of AI agents like your version here in education of the future? And I thought it was a fascinating answer, actually. He said, I find it quite intriguing and promising. In my time, learning was a privilege, not a right. Knowledge was often hoarded and not freely shared. And AI, like my version here, holds the potential to democratise education, making it accessible to all corners of the world. And then he talks about personalised learning, revolutionising the way that we can understand and interact with knowledge. However, his last sentence was, it is paramount also to foster human values, critical thinking and creativity as we embrace in this new era of learning. Well, that was quite positive, wasn't it?
And what a relief that the LLM has come up with something like that and not like that prototype Einstein. But anyway, but the serious point here is that it shows that, just the richness of the data that you've put into this model, Dinis, so that it comes up with these replies that are plausible. To say they're plausible, by the way, is damning with faint praise, because a hallucination from an LLM can be plausible but can be rubbish. But this is both plausible and indeed a likely thing that Leonardo might say. But enough of my editorializing. I just wonder if we can finish just this little section here, Dinis, by just hearing from you that this is going to be, well, certainly Leonardo, the star of the show there, and Ada, they're going to be appearing at a summit, aren't they?
Yeah, so they're going to be keynote speakers in one of the summits we are organizing about precisely the future of AI in society, Business ABC AI Summit in the 26th and 27th of June in central London.
All right. There you go, folks. Put that in your diaries. So stay there, Dinis, because I'm sure you'll have things to say about this next just a couple of ideas.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, And did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
So automation, there we are. Avatars, we've been talking about those. Digital twins, always in the news these days. But at the moment, it's a big retailer and that great institution football that are the focus for much debate, much heated debate actually. The Premier League is bringing in semi-automated VAR decisions. And a big fashion retailer is capturing digital twins of its models. So let's zoom in on all these then. And we'll start with that retailer. It's H&M. And it says it's going to use artificial intelligence to create digital twins of 30 models. These AI doppelgangers will feature in social media posts and marketing. That's if the actual human models agree to all of that. But that has led to a bit of an outcry in the fashion industry over jobs, and not just modelling jobs, but really the potential to do away with other jobs, really everyone else that might be involved in fashion shoots, photographers, designers, makeup people, and so on. And Ghislaine, you're paying very close attention to all this, aren't you? And I don't know, I'm a bit torn, because you might say this is an opportunity, Glenn, for a human model to be able to replicate themselves in lots of different places and get more fees and revenue and royalties. But then there are the obvious worries that I alluded to in the introduction about jobs. Where do you stand?
Yes, it's very complicated, and there is a very genuine need for the debate to happen about compensation, about proper consent, about really good contracts, which mean that the models used do get paid anyway, even when the digital models used. And no surprise, unions are worrying about that. And I think that H&M are having that discussion. Just to say, I've seen that they aren't ignoring that side, and I think the issue here is that it's kind of happening anyway. Yeah. There are several examples, particularly in Asia, of models that are just digital, that are used by brands, etc. So we're now moving into an area where there's physical models, there's digital models, and now there's going to be this mixture of those people that are kind of hybrid. They become hybrid models. It's a bit like the difference between really physically meeting and virtual video conferencing, or between animation and film. It's not the same thing, and the public know this. We know that. We know we're not together physically looking in each other's eyes and being able to slap each other on the back when we're in a virtual conference meeting. So I don't think it will satisfy the public beyond a kind of slightly fun campaign, like as if you used animation. The next step really is beyond this. It's about when we get to a point when we'll actually use our own digital human twins to actually be able to see next season's collection on our own bodies. And that also is partly happening with some of the virtual fashion houses, with some brands where you can actually model it onto yourself straight away. So it's an amalgamation point. It's quite exciting. But as I said at the beginning, the consent and the contracting of this needs to be very, very carefully done.
Yeah. What is there a sustainability element here, Ghislaine? I'm just thinking, apart from anything, it might save a lot of carbon if not as many models need to go on as many planes to as many photo shoots.
Yes, no, it's true, isn't it? It's a bit of a double-edged one, this, and Dinis might have something to add on this about the sustainability of, yes, we've got less flights and less massive use for setting up screens and, all of the production side. And virtual production for film has already partly proved itself to be slightly greener. But then we are still using AI in this. So I don't know. Sustainability is coming up again and again. I know, Dinis, you bring it up all the time in your debates too.
Yeah, the AI consumption and everything around energy it's massive, and particular for training and deploying models in data centers is going to be more and more bigger. The AI data centers where models are trained are projected to double their energy consumption by 2026 and reaching 1,000 terawatt hours annually. So I think, to put it in perspective, this is going to be the entire electricity of multiple countries in the world. And of course, these models there's all the challenge on this, but there's as well, of course, how this is going to have influences in terms of, like you mentioned, future of work and so forth. But I would say that there's a positive angle, of course, that we can go in all the negatives. I think the positive angle as well is that a lot of these models are learning. So for instance, things that would take the huge amounts of energy just 2 years ago are becoming optimized in the space of months. So we cannot see this in the perspective of even 1 year, 2 years, because things are going at a velocity that are so big, even for people. For instance, I give you an example. When I start doing the first models for our own AI models, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to do anything. Now we can do the same for a fraction of the money. So these things are going to be, and as well the optimization, for instance, if you see, I'm not going to technical, but if you see what happened with OpenAI versus DeepSeek. So DeepSeek capacity was because they managed to use all the work that was done by OpenAI, they clone it and reduce it in a much level. So mostly what cost billions of dollars for OpenAI cost, I would say, still hundreds of millions. It's still a lot of money. They say that it's less, but it's not. But I'm just saying that the electricity and the sustainability, I think the challenge right now is that, for instance, even as you saw recently, Portugal and France and Spain and part of France went out of electricity. So we still have a lot of challenge in terms of electricity and sustainability. And sustainability has a lot of layers. So carbon footprint, electricity, and so forth.
Sure. Yeah, and DeepSeek was such a big moment, wasn't it, when the tech industry realised that this stuff can be done cheaper and with fewer resources. And then, of course, I know there was a huge argument about exactly how much more efficiently DeepSeek works. But that's a whole other debate. But thank you for summing those two sides up there for us, Dinis. Just before we leave this subject, we should get a statement from H&M. We approached them for comment. They didn't want to come on the podcast, but they have sent us a comment. So I think we just need somebody with a proper grown-up voice who can sound like the voice of the corporation here. So producer, editor, CEO Anya, can you be H&M for us and tell us what they said?
I can. They emailed us and they said, "We are curious to explore how to showcase our fashion in new creative ways and embrace the benefits of new technology while staying true to our commitment to personal style. This initiative is about exactly this, exploring the benefits of what generative AI can bring to the creative process. We see this technology as something that will enhance our creative process and how we work with marketing, but fundamentally not change our human-centric approach in any way. Ultimately, H&M's purpose is to liberate fashion for the many and to celebrate self-expression in everything we do."
Right, thank you, H&M, voiced there by Anya. So let's turn then to footy. And in that introduction, I just touched a little bit on footy and what's going on there, and a few little controversies, because nobody was particularly amused a little while back, a few months ago now, when there was a record 8-minute stoppage during Bournemouth FA's Cup 5th round win against Wolves. A trial of the semi-automated offside system had just started, and it wasn't really getting off to a very good start, because the whole idea of the system is meant to help referees and match officials with those really close offside decisions. The Premier League says that the system enhances the speed, efficiency and consistency of offside decision making. But as with that Bournemouth and Wolves match, if there's a whole lot going on in the penalty area, and that was certainly the case in that particular match, then the AI basically says, no, can't handle it, and the humans have to take over, and then the seconds and indeed the minutes can tick by, and everybody gets incredibly upset about it. So teething troubles, maybe, perhaps in the future, AI could speed things up. Maybe we'll have fully automated VAR. So, Ghislaine, let's come back to you on all this kind of stuff. And no, Ghislaine, I'm not going to get you to explain the offside rule.
Good.
Please don't ask me to. I'll make a fool of myself. But even for, I'm not particularly up on football, but even I'm just trying to get my head round what this looks like. This system, it's a semi-automated approach, isn't it, Ghislaine? So, in other words, it's not as if some official is just pressing a button and a verdict comes out. There is some human involvement, and there's a bit of kind of avatars going on in all this. Can you just tell me what the heck's going on with this semi-automated offside decision system?
Well, I mean, it's actually a very good description. You're right. The human decision point, whether it's for all of the people around the edge watching, having to make decisions, and ultimately the referees, who have to say the final thing, is key, totally key. What they've done is brought in several virtual methodologies to help with those decisions to make it absolute. So as we've seen for a while, we've been seeing these kind of like virtual lines coming on the, you see them coming on the pitch, and they come across the goal area, and you can see all of the different layers, and they say, look, his foot was just over that line. Well, what they've done in the last year or so is bring in, additional to the lines, they've brought in digital versions of the footballers, and these are real time. Their cameras are capturing 10,000 data points on each of the football players' bodies, and the system is monitoring the precise position of each player against the line where they were meant to be. So you can see the lines, but now we can see the footballers too, and they're not the best digital human twins in the world. They're a little bit blurry and they are there, and that data helps determine if the footballer's body, including their head or their feet or even hands, is beyond the last defender, I believe it is. The attacker can't be beyond the last defender at the exact moment the ball is played. So it's really getting quite layered. There's the lines, there's these bodies now, these footballers' bodies, real time, and still again, the referees or the people watching have to come in with human-led decision at the last point. So the debate now is actually on how much to show the crowd live, because they could put it all up on screens in the stadiums, but imagine that might just cause completely everybody in the stadium becoming a referee in their own right, so...
Oh, it could be a complete pickle, couldn't it?
Yes,
I can't think what could possibly...
Yes. It's quite complex already, I think, for people to follow through. So, and I know, Dinis, you've got... one of your businesses is working with sports, so you may have come across this too, this debate that's happening.
Yeah, I think I've been working the platform Sports ABC, and I've been working with multiple different sports organizations around the world. And you mentioned the digital twins. It's a very important thing for us. We did a couple of digital twins for sports personalities. So AI is becoming increasing in every areas of business, especially in sports. And like you mentioned, I think this case is, for instance, if you look at tennis, Wimbledon, I was privileged to be with a big tech brand in Wimbledon recently, and most of all the transmission of the Wimbledon is partly done with multiple AI systems and automation. So of course, it's going to be much bigger. And you're going to have as well, I think, parallel to what you mentioned about H&M, we're going to have a lot of different experience of having real people with digital twins of the people interacting, and they will, in some cases, will help people. For instance, I've been using my digital twin to help me doing things that I cannot do sometimes, or I don't have time. So there's that element, and of course, the way you see digital twins and AI in particular, I think we're just in the beginning. But at the moment, just most of the AI, especially when it comes to innovation, both in FIFA and AI, they've been already, like you mentioned here in the UK, for putting referees and helping referees. But a lot of these things, they're still the beginning. But it's like the beginning of the internet. The streaming was difficult. There was a lot of issues. So we're going to see improvement. I think the point is that we put the ethics on this and how we create models that are respectful towards humans and not the other way around. Because I think it can go very wrong if we don't keep the humanity-centric element on this.
Yeah.
And Dinis, surely it's only a matter of time before we have fully automated VAR. And then we'll wonder, well, why did we even involve humans in the first place? This is, platinum-plated, reliable technology. It's going to settle a whole load of disputes on the field. The referee will stop being, criticised all the time. Is that the way it's going to go, do you think?
I think it's going completely in that direction. But I think it's going to create a lot of new jobs opportunities. So I always like to look at the bads and the positives. I think the point here is that as this automation works, humans are free to do much more interesting things. And I think the point is that we create these business models aligned, because sometimes this goes just in the hands of a few corporations and not empowering. So on this, I always like to bring Star Trek, because Star Trek, ironically, is a world that has no sense of money, and everyone coexists positive with most advanced technologies. So I think we can build that utopia or that reality. I think on the short term, yes, there will be a lot of conflicts, a lot of issues, and we still didn't see the big ones because I believe we're going to have much bigger cases. But it's like the digital twin. If I do a digital twin of mine for empowering me, or if someone does a digital twin or a deep fake of mine to, for instance, as we speak, there's a couple of people trying to pretend that me on Instagram, and I can keep chasing. And this is going to be, I think, the biggest challenge, but I don't want to go too much on these negatives. I believe on the positives, there's a lot of opportunities to optimize the things that are really stupid and focus on the real things.
All right. Well, while optimism is breaking out, I think that's a good place to leave it. So, Dinis Guarda, thanks so much for joining us, and you, Ghislaine Boddington. And I think the real solution to this is we are going to see AIs that predict the offside like 10 minutes, maybe even 10 weeks before it even happens. That's where I think it's going. Where the solution is, folks, it's only a game. Doesn't really matter. Watch me get roasted on social media for that, but if it drives a bit of traffic, it's good for me. All right, guys, thank you both very much indeed, and for you for listening. There will be more podcast extra with Dinis and Ghislaine, and if you're not around for that, then we'll see you next time. Thank you very much to production manager Liz Tui, and of course Anya, who you heard in the programme, our editor and producer, and I'm Gareth. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone. It's Michael Calore, Director of Consumer Tech and Culture at Wired, here with my colleagues, senior writer Lauren Good.
Hello.
And Wired contributor Zoe Schiffer.
Hey, everyone.
We're here to tell you about our new podcast, Uncanny Valley, a show about the people, power, and influence of Silicon Valley.
Every week, we get together to talk about how technology and culture from the Valley is influencing our everyday lives.
We dig into questions like, will we ever get our privacy back? Is OpenAI for real? And how are Silicon Valley billionaires impacting U.S. elections?
The first episode of Uncanny Valley comes out on October 31st. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.